So I'm going to get you fired up. And we're going to get so pumped, and we're going to rip out of this arena into the town. We're going to have an amazing evening. To take us there, I'm going to start my conversation with a very dark place. As Alan mentioned, I would appreciate forum confidentiality, because I just want to share anything and everything that I wish I knew before I sold my business. And also, as I go through my story, this 17-and-a-half-year journey, and somehow in the next 30 minutes, if you have questions, please ask them. I'll answer them. I'll answer any question. If I can't in that moment, I will by the end. Sound good? Okay. So, I will begin then at, for me, which was my darkest personal moment, and it came at the most unexpected time. I had dreamt when I first started my business that I had dreamt of this moment, like right on the edge of closing a deal to sell my business. And I remember thinking how excited I would be for closing, and how terrified I would feel that it would fall apart. And instead, in this moment, it's 11 p.m., there's 9 hours to close, and I'm absolutely terrified, like shaking, terrified. I'm sitting at dinner with the CEO of the acquiring business, and I had started to get some nerves in the last week or so. They sent out employment agreements, and all of a sudden this kind of experiment of, hey, how much is my company worth, started to become more like, this is what your life's going to look like. More than just about the dollar. It started to feel real. I started to get nervous about it. And I was looking forward to this dinner. I hadn't spent a lot of time with the CEO. I'd sold my business, or selling my business, to a private equity group. And I've been dealing just with the private equity guys. But there was a roll-up, and the CEO of the roll-up was there to spend time with me. We sit down, we have dinner, and it starts going pretty poorly. And I start feeling like I've just made the biggest mistake of my life, but yet it hasn't closed, right? We get dessert, we finish up, I roll out. I remember my knees, my legs feeling like I never felt them feel this way before. It was completely weak. I'm walking towards my car, confused as to whether it's the alcohol or just the nerves. Also trying to think of why in this moment I'm feeling so indecisive. I had been so logical. I had spent 17 years building towards this. And in that instant, I was as if I was back to square one. I had no basis for whether or not I should do or should undo this deal. I get in my car, I start driving home, and I live in North Boulder, and I'm on Broadway, I'm on my way back home, and I see a police officer tucked in the shadows. And immediately, naturally, like, I got anything to worry about, I got drinking, oh my God, I feel crazy right now. What if I get pulled over for a DUI? There's no way we're closed. And my mind went back to that. If I get pulled over for a DUI, we won't close. And I actually started to think, like, what I could do to get in the way of this decision. And I felt ashamed in that moment. I get home. I make it home. It's about 1 a.m. I start slacking with my forum mates. And I tell them everything that happened at dinner. And I was just seeking some sort of validation, what I was feeling or something, to try to make sense of this ball of indecision. And they were supportive. And I told them, well, what if I go through with the deal and it fucks it up for the customers and the employees and it's a disaster? And they said, well, then you'll lead them through the disaster. And then they kind of went to bed. It was 3 a.m. It was 5 hours to close. And I was alone. Like, my board was asleep. My wife was asleep. My phone disintegrating constitution around what do I go through with this deal the next morning or don't I? I resorted to pro-communist and silly shit like that. I was just terrified. It was a permanent decision, more permanent than almost any other decision, I think, in life. I mean, marriage is less permanent than selling permanent decisions in business. Fuck. By the way, no one told me if I could or could not use salty language. Okay, so that was March 30th, 2015, and that was the day before we were closing on the sale of my business. And I want to go back in time to the beginning, give you guys some context. And I started my company in 1997 as a custom software services business. This was in college. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had never worked for anyone more than, say, like an 18-year-old middle manager at Hershey Park Amusement Park in central Pennsylvania. But I had a desire to create something on my own. And set about doing it. Over the next 9 years, I scratched and clawed in this kind of services model. Had a lot of experiences that I look back on romantically, but when I really think about it, I don't ever want to have to deal with it. And for those first several years, the company grew profitably, but it hit a ceiling. It could not scale, and I was absolutely miserable. I was 27 years old, feeling like I was having a complete midlife crisis. And I needed to get out, I needed to reinvent what I was doing. I felt completely unemployable, so I had no choice. I had to pull something out of a hat with this business. And fortunately, I did. I found a niche. It was a really tiny niche, really interesting niche. It turned out to be wine compliance software. Wine compliance software. So it turns out, wine compliance software, what I ended up calling the product ship compliant and the company ship compliant, was everything the old version of the business was not. It was scalable. It was repeatable. I didn't have to customize it. I went to bed at night on December 31st and I woke up on January 1 with the same revenue coming in. I could just focus on building and selling the next customer. It took I immediately knew this was the right fit for me, and I burned the boats. I basically gave away the $500,000, $600,000 in revenue that I had in service contracts and other little bits and pieces of software that were unscalable. Just got it off of the plate and put all the chips on ship compliant. That bet ended up turning out okay. By 2 years after we launched the product, we became sustainably profitable. I had, during the first 9 years, squirreled away, since I was like in my 20s, I had nothing to spend it on. I squirreled away all the profits from the service business. So I used those profits to build out the SaaS business. So the SaaS business grew eventually to $12 million ARR, about 40% cash profit, no debt. And when I finally found a scalable business to run, I began to notice that I was getting lit up by working on parts of the business I'd never been able to pay attention to before. Like its culture, like figuring out our values, like understanding what it was that motivated us, our purpose. And I started putting that into place. I got super involved in EO. I joined in 2009 and just went all in. Everything just seemed to click and I could apply it and I saw results from it. We became an incredibly focused business on our values and our purpose. I mean, you had to. It was compliance, right? Like, compliance is not sexy. It's not interesting to me. I had no interest in compliance, but I found that I was absolutely lit up by the opportunity to use compliance to live out my core purpose, which was kind of like the company's core purpose. And along the way, I really catch track of this whole idea of selling the business. Because I'm like, who in the world would ever buy this thing? We're operating in an inch of an inch of an inch of an inch. And so I ended up becoming more focused, I guess, on just building the best, most profitable, most fun business I could. And that was it. And sure, along the way, things became a lot more fun. It was no longer those early days of working on a Saturday with a gas mask because they decided to paint the building in because they didn't think anybody would be building out stuff during that time. But slowly, my, satisfaction began to get a bit eroded with a fear. A fear of in the early days, I had nothing to lose. And all of a sudden I had this amazing business that was allowing me to live out my entire purpose. And I thought, this has been a rocket ship, it feels great, we're here, but maybe we're here. And if I hold on too long because I'm not willing to let go, I'm not willing to hire a real manager, a real president, because I think whatever I got is going to last forever, then I'll end up here. And I won't just lose, this wonderful slice of time of a business that really gives me purpose and meaning. I'll also lose the vehicle I have to create wealth and opportunity and independence in my life. Because the value of a business that's on the front side of that curve is many multiples higher than the value of the business on the back side of that curve. Every single day, we had been playing to win from the very beginning. I had nothing. We started from zero. It was totally bootstrapped. And over time, I started to play not to lose. It started to show up in personnel decisions. It started to show up in product decisions. It started to show up in things like I was afraid to raise the prices on my customers because they might leave. And there's only so many customers in the wine industry. I was setting myself up to be tenderized, okay? You all know tenderizing meat is fun for the tenderizer, it's not so fun for the meat. This idea came into my mind when I was on a bike ride with an investment banker in Boulder. And he had been kind of talking with me about, I was starting to think of okay, how else can I continue to grow my business? Maybe it's through acquisition. We have many millions of profits a year. I can use some of that to buy a company and continue to expand. So I found some businesses, I approached them, and they all wanted 10 times the amount I was willing to offer. And I was getting frustrated. I said, Jason, none of these self-made entrepreneurs will ever sell for a reasonable price until they've been tenderized. Well, what do you mean by that? And tenderization can take a number of forms. It can be when you saturated your market and you started to ride it on the other side. It could be that you're in a certain technology that's now obsolete or becoming obsolete. Or maybe you're that, I think it was a company called Ecstasy that was one of two providers of Twitter's fire hose. And then Twitter bought the other provider and shut off the fire hose to Ecstasy. And it can also occur individually. As a leader, you start to self-doubt that you're the one to actually take it to the next level. This started to happen to me. And since selling my business, as I've talked to so many other entrepreneurs who are right there on the cusp of selling, or they have sold, and you start to dig, they've all been tenderized. There's something that happened. And it's the last thing they all want to admit. But there's something that struck them. And it struck me. My tenderizing moment occurred when, as you could already tell probably, I had this deep fear that I'd ride my business over the top. I had this deep fear of slowing the growth. And it turns out, the last few years, we were really struggling to get the growth to continue to grow. I felt like we were squeezing blood from a stone and it was running out. And we were right on the precipice of reaching market saturation. I think we were working with 80% of the wineries in the market that would actually buy our software. So what else could I do? And I began to allow this mantra to enter my mind of like, hey, who got you here won't get you there. That founders don't make good CEOs. It's time to bring in like adult supervision. And so I became, and then my executive team, honestly, they were like, yeah, we need that. And what they were really saying is we need that kind of leader. They weren't necessarily saying that you weren't or couldn't be, but that's the way I heard it. So I hired a guy. I hired a president of the business, and it went almost immediately. I knew this was the wrong call, right? But everyone in the company loved him. He's different than me. He gave out promotions and raises and held no one to account. And that worked for a little while. But then I started to notice like some of my best people who I like could see were absolute rock stars. I couldn't wait for them to be in a position to really like lead the business. I remember talking to one of them, they're in their early 20s, I'm like, you have what it takes. I will coach you. And they quit. They quit not because they're like, Jason, I hate this guy, or I hate what's happening to the culture. They quit because, I got this great offer from Twitter or from Google. They always had great reasons. But when I dug, it was more than that. And I still had to wait because I just couldn't go to my team, my executive team. When I hired a president, that guy was my guy until he wasn't my guy. It's not like I could go around and talk to my staff and say like, what do you think of Joe? I think he's kind of like a room. Bad. You can't say that and undermine it, right? He had to be my guy until he wasn't my guy. And for me, that happened around October of that year, about 10 months. It took 10 months, and boom. Growth was in a free fall. Attrition was up. I was losing some of my best people. I had started to fall out of love with the business. A friend put it best. He said, Jason, when you have someone running your business, you have a number two, like, what's it like when you guys deal with problems? I said, it's horrible. It makes me feel terrible. He's like, when you deal with problems with the right person, it's going to be like making music. And it wasn't making music. So I fired him. And instead of feeling like, hey, I was right all along, I felt like a total failure. I felt like, yep, I can't hire, and I can't lead. I clearly hit a ceiling. And I didn't feel like I had anywhere to go with it. Because the growth was in the tank, the culture was messed up. It's not like I could sell the business, no one was lining up to buy it. What would be the value of like this tiny little company in a tiny little space that had no growth plan and a messed up culture? So that lack of options forced me to make two very, very important decisions. The second I give my staff all the credit for. But the first was, I decided, I was going to own it. I was going to own this issue. And I enrolled in a leadership program. I'm sure there's a lot of them, but man, I was not exposed to this stuff. I've been drinking from the Kool-Aid of the EO and YPO and every other business management book for years. And this program I ended up finding, and it was the first time I put it together in a sequence that I could really put to work. And I didn't just allow this to hit me, I brought it back to the staff, to the company, and I started teaching and coaching everything I was learning. And we started to see results, a change in the morale, change in the effort. The second thing we did, we worked on our total available market. That was our number one strategic issue. So yeah, congratulations, you killed it in the wine and lion space in Napa, California. Because what we did there, we couldn't do it anywhere else in the world. It was only, it was specific to the liquor control laws in the United States. So, over the years, we had worked to expand our TAM. We moved from wineries to distillers, to importers, to regulators, to beer. And all that effort, we tripled it to 6,000 potential customers. Not a lot. So it was, $6 million business. It's a nice business. It's 40% margins, but I wanted this thing to be bigger. So we mined our own diamonds. We looked at what we did, what we were really good at, and some of the technology that we had, and it turns out that sales tax, excise tax, regulatory compliance calculations for wineries is almost the same thing as for any e-commerce business. So we took the engine out of our wine thing and rebranded it and made it available to anyone who sold anything in the United States. And we changed our available market by several tens of thousands of percent into sales tax software is a $2.3 billion market. So these changes started to have an impact. We started growing our growth again. And as I said, the morale started to come around. And almost immediately upon entering this new market, we started to get interest. Companies started to contact me. Within 90 days, I had 5 real offers. And it started out like, yeah, I'll take a look, tell me what I'm worth. I think as an entrepreneur, I confuse the value of my business with my own self-worth, so I just really want to know what that is at any one time. And I didn't think to run a process, because I didn't think I was selling my business, but I was just taking a look at this stuff. But all of a sudden, the numbers started to get really real. And it became more and more apparent that, we might be at a local maximum, right? Hey, this deal on the table for my business can make a lot of sense right now, or I gotta have the guts to go the distance, and that's where I thought we were, right? We had planted the seeds for a new thing, and it could be awesome. It could take us up to there, or I could spend 5 years and end up there and miss my ticket. And so it logically made sense that maybe take the deal. So I hired an advisor, not a banker, but an advisor. He helped me manage all these different offers, and they went from 2.5 times revenue. The last one we got to about 6. But I started to rationalize the deal. It made sense on almost every part, every moment, right? It hit my personal number. My wife and I had spent some time trying to figure that out once. Right? What is the amount of money I would have to take out of the business to feel the same sense of freedom and optionality, which is very important to me, that I had with the business? At least that's what I thought I was selling and getting in exchange. Advisors all saw, Jason, it's absolutely, you got to take this deal. This makes total sense. You hold on too long, your business is going to disappear overnight. And the executive team was completely on board again. With these new buyers. So it seemed to hit all the same logical points. So I'm back 5 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours before the close. Why the hell have I completely lost all confidence? Right? It all made sense. We made all the right moves. We had gotten right to that point. The beautiful thing about that situation was that I had a business over here that was not going to grow that much further. We just entered into a new business, had very few proof points. It's like $12,000 in revenue that we had sold in the new sales tax thing. But the buyers were all ascribing a multiple based on the size of the future market times the revenue in the old market. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. But 5 hours before close, I thought I was the most unluckiest person in the world. What the fuck? What the hell? And it came down to this, if I was going to do this deal, or if I was going to walk from the deal, because I felt like the choir was not the right fit for my customers, for my team. What was it that I stood for? Was that going to be the most selfless thing I've ever done in my life, because I'm going to walk away from all that capital? Or was it going to be the most selfish thing I've ever done in my life? Because I walked away from that. That would have been a good thing for the team. It would have been a good thing for my family. Because my ego didn't allow me to sell my business to someone like that. So I went to bed thinking, okay, it's all going to be better when I wake up. I wake up a few hours later, and I call up the board of the private equity group, and I delay the close. I convene my executive team and get all around in the room. And I told him everything that happened, and I wanted to hear it. I just wanted some validation, and I wanted to understand, like, is this all just an emotional reaction to it, or is it valid? Are they seeing what I'm seeing? And Brandon, I was not just trying to just punt this decision onto them, but I wanted them to be aware of what I had seen and what I was actually prepared to do. And to a minute, they were like, let's do it. I think it's a great deal, Jason. We're ready for this, Jason. We should do it. Including my brother, including some of my earliest employees. So I walked out of the room and then I called my board member. He's like, Jason, and I told him everything. And instead of telling me, like, do it, which I would, don't do it, which I wouldn't have done it, he said, Jason, look, man, it's your decision, but I'll be the guy in the back of the church, in the caddy, with the motor running. Just let me know. I hung up that phone, and I just kind of felt like I was just ready to pull the trigger and see what came next. So I went through it. But I had a massive lesson in that moment. And it's something I've shared with many others. And that is like, no one will ever stand between you and a deal. You have to be absolutely clear what it is that you want out of this before you get all the way to the very end. And so often the M&A process is built around this concept of boiling the frog. Like, well, just take a look at our offer. And you say, yeah, I'll take a look at the offer. You haven't quite figured it out. I hadn't quite 100% figured out what it was that I wanted. But don't just take, this happened, I have a clip of someone else that had a similar experience. How about if I try that again? Yep. You guys just let me know. Well, you know what? It has subscripts.
A couple years in, some big companies wanted to buy us. I didn't want to sell. I wanted to see if we could connect more.
They did it. You wiped out Facebook.
Yeah, no, they know. I didn't license that. Yeah.
They weren't here.
That was my hardest time meeting Facebook.
Yeah, I'll send it back.
Your machine went down, so...
A couple years in, some big companies wanted to buy us. I didn't want to sell. I wanted to see if we could connect more people. Nearly everyone else wanted to sell. Without a sense of higher purpose, this was their startup dream come true, and it tore our company apart. After one particularly tense argument, one of my close advisors told me if I was agree to sell the company right now, I would regret that decision for the rest of my life. Relationships were so great that within a year or so, every single person on our management team was gone. That was my hardest time meeting Facebook.
How many of you have been in that same position? 4, 5, 7. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. So, okay, tell me what you learned today. So anyway, no one's going to stand between me and the deal, right? It's ultimately my decision. I made the decision. I made the decision about 12:30. Released the papers, closed the deal, gathered the team in the foyer of our office, brought out the new CEO, and made the announcement. And are we good? Yeah. So this is supposed to be a picture of the team when I made the announcement. Deer in headlights, right? It didn't help that it was April 1st. But slowly, not so slowly, actually pretty quickly, they started to realize this was for real. And some of them started to cry. And I just was like, shit, maybe I did make a horrible decision. So we go out, we get really, really drunk, kind of like at a wake or a celebration, couldn't really tell what it was. And then I go to bed that night, no idea whether I was going to wake up the next morning willing to run this business or not. It wasn't part of my employment agreement. I could leave at any time. There's no amount tied to my attendance. Instead, I woke up the next morning with like a bolt of lightning. Clear purpose. I'd gotten the company into this. I had made a decision that affected everyone, including my customers. I was going to lead them through it. It motivated me, and we rolled. So, I gathered members of my executive team, and we came up with a strategy. Because already we're starting to hear from people like, oh yeah, I know how this turns out. Acquired companies always get messed up, right? Great companies always get effed up by the buyers, particularly if it's private equity. So, we're not going to do that. We came up with 3 strategies we're going to follow. Number 1, no victim thinking. And I can't imagine another scenario that encourages more victim thinking than like making a decision to rip the rug out of all of our employees, our customers, our partners' feet, and hey, you have a new ownership. Whole new way of doing things. So we used the drama triangle and the empowerment dynamic, and we coached our team. Every single day we made it part of our weekly stand-ups, focus on creating their outcome. Instead of saying, hey, I'm going to wait and see how this turns out for me, no, create it. Create how you see it coming out. The second thing was to kill cynicism. Amazing how quickly it started to show up. Oh, I know how these things go. Yeah, I was in another company that got locked up. And I heard that like the day we closed. It's like, crap, man. Like that seed of cynicism destroys culture. It's like the kryptonite to everything that we work to create. So we killed cynicism wherever it stood by being outrageously honest about everything that we saw. Totally transparent. If it was a shit popsicle, we called it a shit popsicle instead. Sorry, it's a shit popsicle. AKA like replacing our email systems with some like Nextel or some crap. The third was our core value discipline. We'd always been core values driven. We got better and better and better every year, but this we had to go full blast. Like if we didn't wear that as a shield, the values of the parent company would, or lack of, would come in. And so we just developed an incredible discipline around our value set. It turned out to really serve us well when I tell you about the results of it. So I got crazy engaged. I started just making the decisions that I hadn't made before. I started making the personnel moves that I was too afraid to make before. My executive team that I lined up, very quickly, half of them were gone. And then more. And they started getting replaced by the real other stars in the business. It became apparent to me, I had 2 key observations. And number 1, I was playing to win again. I hadn't been doing that in a long, long time. And I was seeing real results. And I was falling back in love with the business. And it felt great. And everyone noticed it. And the second was that everyone had to change. Like everyone. Everyone had to change for this to be successful, including myself, but also everyone else in the business. And sometimes the change wasn't great because it was inflicted by or affected by the private equity parent company. And we were so different from them. So different. We had negotiated being a company within a company, and it was good in a way, but it also was putting off the inevitable, because there's a schism between those two parties. So what were the results? After 1 year post-close, I'm still running the business. I had no idea I was going to be doing that. And I'm loving it. I'm feeling it. We had tripled our growth rate, doubled our headcount, no regrettable turnover of employees. Our customer net promoter score didn't have a hiccup. We maintained our margins. And I have to say, like, we had the strongest culture I'd ever experienced in the business. And it just was like blowing my mind. Why was this happening post-deal instead of pre-deal? And people would always ask, hey Jason, how's it like working for the man? And I said, it's thrilling, because that year were my highest highs and also my lowest lows. Like when I had to roll out drug testing to my Boulder employees and try to explain why they had to pee in a cup, and how that did not fit into our value set, and but we still had to do it. I didn't like those kinds of conversations. Okay. So then one day, about 8-10 months after close, I get a call, and it's the CEO of the parent company. He's like, Jason, great news. We've been acquired. It's like, really? I need you to go and make the announcement to the team. It's okay. So I was kind of really nervous about this. Like, here I go, fucked up again. And gathered everyone just like this. I'm like, and we've been acquired. And the team's like, so what? No big deal. So life goes on. I find myself about a week later I'm on my way to a company event, and it's a high in Florida, and in Terminal Concourse B on the second floor, like one of those fabric chairs with like a coffee stain on it, to take this call from the parent CEO, and he calls us like, Jason, yes, I need you to announce to the team that you're leaving. Leaving what? That you're leaving the company next week. It's like, okay. So I get off the phone, and I'm just like, wow. 17 years ago, I didn't think that I would be fired. In Concourse B. I don't know how many times I've gone to Concourse B, and I'm like, that's going to be the place. My freedom. The CEO is thrilled about it. He's like, sold, you get your earn out, why would you want to stay? And the truth is, like, I knew it was inevitable I was going to leave. I just figured it was going to be on my terms. And really, this whole thing is all just about my ego. I just never expected to be in that situation. So, I left the company. This was like spring of 2016, and they threw me a retirement party. I was 39. And I was 39, and I moved my family to Spain, like that, and within a few months. We had never even been to Barcelona. We moved, and we lived there for the last 2 years, and I just cut off everything. It's like I had to run away from Boulder. Like that town had been where everything was. And I went through a depression, and I got through it, and I found intense gratitude for my situation. And I started to really reframe how I was looking at everything. But it didn't stop me from being curious about why it had been so hard to make that decision to sell, why it didn't feel right. And then one day I read something that another expat who had sold this company gave to me. It's a little white paper, Life After an Exit. And I'm happy to send this stuff out to you guys as well. And it talks about the loss of 3 things, and this really resonated for me. Number 1, your community. So when you sell a business, you're exchanging all sorts of stuff for the money and for the stock and whatever, but you're also selling your community. And for me, it wasn't just my customers and my employees, it was also like my sense as an entrepreneur. I felt different, even within my MyEO chapter. Second was the purpose. Sure, I knew that like I was living my purpose. I didn't realize how much my business was an extension of my purpose and how it allowed me to live it at scale until it was gone. And the third was the schedule. And that's like the last thing I ever would have thought. But man, there's so much in my life after 17 years that's driven by the little naivete of that infrastructure. And it's gone and become like floating. But no one's feeling very sorry for me. I got to live 2 years in Spain with my family. I got to catch up on life. I got to actually learn to enjoy life in a way that I would definitely do things differently and treat my employees differently with regards to work-life balance after my time there. But I continued to think, what would I have done differently? What did I have to sell the business to have this outcome? Did I have to let go of that in order to spend my transformative time in Spain? Others hadn't. Companies and leaders I look up to, like 37 Signals and MailChimp and 1-800-ACT-JOHN, these guys, they haven't sold. They're all founder-led, practically or bootstrapped businesses. What do they have in common? And I figured I discovered, I think it's 3 things. Number 1 is a commitment to evolving leadership. I tried to evolve leadership by hiring someone, but I got it wrong. Like, I built the business up to wherever it was, and instead of thinking that I needed to hire someone to take it to the next level, I should have hired someone to take care of everything that had been up to that. And then I moved to the next level. I was willing and able to do it. Obviously, I had to discover that. But it's a commitment. And if you don't have it, you gotta just get out of the way. If you want to hold on to that business, you gotta find someone that does have that commitment. The second is a long-term product roadmap. Now, I knew very early on, because I was in such a small market, I knew I was gonna run out of it. But there's a lot of folks that aren't self-aware of the limits of the playground that they're playing in right now. But if we just accept that, if there was like a law that said you cannot sell a business, you must figure it out, then we figure it out, right? We keep evolving, we keep innovating and finding the next growth path to keep the business going. And the third is taking chips off the table. I was playing with courage that last year post-deal. I was playing with courage I hadn't had in a long, long, long time. And I don't think I had to sell the whole damn thing to get that courage. There's a limit. And for a lot of us, it's like making sure we had something for retirement, paying off loans, owning a house, taking care of somebody. That's not everything. So there's alternative ways to get that pressure relief valve out and starting to play with courage again. And the worst thing is when you're running a business that's barely breaking, right? You're just skimming along the treetops and you're so exposed to tenderization because any little turbulence is right into the trees. Really, really believe that a healthy margin protects us and gives us that flexibility. So we're back to Colorado. I'm trying to find my way, reacclimatizing to life here, making some investments, trying to figure out if I really want to go back and do it all again or do it differently. Looking at a few businesses, I got close to buying some in the last few years, but it hasn't come out. It hasn't turned out just yet. But I hope just by trying to share things that I wish I had heard and seen with you, makes a dent in this forum. The folks that are interested, it's just like this is the perfect group, because we're all, in one way or the other, have a lot in common. So I would love to open up for any questions. Anyone have any questions? Yes, enough to, ¿lo Spanish hablas español? Yeah, it took a while. It was very diligent process.
Were you anybody not seeing that second service to tech?
I ended up giving that a lot of thought, and it's, it doesn't have to be tech. It's recurring revenue, and it's the ability to reach at scale, and it's got to be something that's important enough to the user that they care about how it's delivered. So those are my basic criteria. Go ahead.
Talk about different leadership that you learned from, I can't remember the name of the company.
Stagen.
What was different there, or what you might get on leadership out of MyEO, what you might be able to learn from the organization?
It was an 18-month program, on-site quarterly, weekly calls, and weekly coaching. So the level of accountability was massive, and then the rollout of the information was just, it made sense how they moved through it. It was all basically the same content, but just packaged in a way that really resonated with me. Any other questions?
Well, since we're talking about deals, you said some investments you made without, I guess, stated the need, but you're still learning about deals. You want to share?
Yes. I try to stay 100-foot pole away from institutional capital. And I saw people with my business, they sold it in 10 months because they needed a mark for the next fund they were raising. And even the board members said, Jay, we don't want to sell this, but we got to take the mark. We want to see this thing become $1 billion business. It's like when you have all these powers that have nothing to do with the actual business or the market, making those decisions, I don't want anything to do with that. So I've been looking at making minority investments in cash flowing, recurring revenue businesses, and coaching, being a more active strategic investor to those businesses. I've also, since I took the capital out of the business, been deathly afraid of spending principal. And I'm playing not to lose. And I hate it. And I've moved mentally from a position of production in the company to a position of consumption. I can hate that. So I'm looking forward to the point where my investments and my efforts start to generate cash flow just on their own, instead of just from accruing. And I didn't realize how much I would hate trying to figure out how to put money to work until I was there. And I share this problem with most people that are like, you asshole.
Yeah.